Hiya.
Good morning.
How you doing?
I'm doing fine. How about yourself?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks.
Thank you so much for taking the
Nice
time.
poster you've got in the background there.
This is just a pure coincidence. This was hanging here all the time, which is true,
Oh
by
yeah, yeah,
the way.
yeah.
The poster was here, and then we thought this should be the spot where we do the interview.
Perfect.
So, if there new artwork coming up, we'll have it refreshed by then.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So, Chris, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us about the new album, The Wild Signal.
No worries.
So I've been doing a bit of research, and so I'm now aware with what the WOW signal stands for. Can
Yeah.
you maybe explain that in like a few sentences? What is the WOW signal? It's something that actually existed.
Yeah, I think it was in 1977. It was kind of some weird, mysterious signal that came from outer space that nobody really knew where it came from or what it was. And I think that the guy who discovered it, when he discovered it, literally just wrote "Wow." It was just such an amazing kind of
That's
phenomenon
where the
that
name
happened.
comes from, really?
So that's where the actual name of it came from. But I think in terms of relation to the album, I mean, I think it is more a sort of metaphor really for um, I guess kind of just searching for some sort of higher power or sort of some unknown force that kind of governs us or gives us meaning or something like that. I think for this record, I think it's a very personal record for Matt,
Hmm.
and I think he's explored some, I don't know, maybe some sort of personal themes in a depth that he maybe hasn't done before. And I think maybe for him as well personally, just kind of maybe sort of exploring the idea that there is something out there that is kind of bigger and more profound than our own existence, or that plays some sort of part in our existence. I don't know, but I think that's kind of where it all came from, really.
Okay. And now the album is finished. Do you think it relates more to the the themes that you just uncovered, or maybe just listening to it and just writing down, wow.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the themes within the album themselves, I mean, they're quite kind of varied, I guess. I mean, I wouldn't say that the album is about one thing in particular, but I would say that the one thing that it does have that I think that the previous albums don't have is this kind of depth of personal experience that I think Matt has drawn from.
Mhm.
So I think from an emotional perspective, I think that this album probably strikes a chord stronger than previous records. I think, it doesn't really go near politics or conspiracy theories or anything like that. It is much more of a kind of deep personal experience, I think, that is being expressed. But also just this kind of profound need to kind of search for something bigger.
Mhm.
And I think for a lot of people that is religion. I guess it can take various different forms. It can be aliens, it could be, whatever you want it to be. But yeah, I think that was kind of just the overarching feeling, really, was that it was, trying to sort of search for something that is, this kind of higher power, if you like.
And how about for you personally? I mean, what's the role of the bass on this new album?
Um, what is the role of the bass? I mean, I've always sort of just seen, that I try not to think too much in terms of instrumentation, really. When I don't think any of us really do. I mean, I think we ultimately are there to serve the song.
Okay,
And
but you are the song as well.
in some cases, I think, yeah. I mean, but I've never really been one of these people that sort of breaks things down in that way.
Mhm.
I think obviously there are certain songs where the bass would take a leading role. That might be the guitar, in some cases the drums. Um, but I think ultimately we're all there to just sort of serve the song the best that we can. Um, quite often, if me and Dom are doing drums and bass together, while Dom is playing, I'll be quite on his case in terms of what he's playing on the drums, and vice versa. If I'm playing the bass, Matt and Dom will be kind of on my case, telling me, try this, try that. So we're all quite heavily involved in what we're all doing. I don't really. I don't know. I've never really seen us as a sort of band that sort of breaks each individual part down. It's like, well, I'm going to do this, and you're going to do that, and you're going to, it doesn't really work in that way. Ultimately, there is a song, and we all try and do what is best for the song.
Okay. So this is going to be your 10th studio album. Does that number hold any significance to you guys, or is it just the number?
I think it's just a number. I mean, I kind of lose count now a little bit, to be
It's
honest.
10. It's
Yeah. I mean,
10 albums, man.
someone asked me that the other day, like, how many albums is it now? And I'm like, is it 9 or 10? I can't even remember. Um, I don't think it really has any specific significance. I think that we've always made new music. We're not the type of band that has ever stopped doing that. I mean, I think some bands get to a certain point where they maybe stop making new music and kind of just focus on their legacy a little bit. I don't really feel like we're at that point. I think there's still a desire for us to make new music, try and explore some new ground. But I think, I don't know, it feels like, the making of this album was quite cool. The last album was made during COVID, which made it difficult for us all to get together.
Yeah.
Whereas obviously this record, there was a bit more freedom. I mean, Matt lives in LA, me and Dom are in London, but we did some sessions in LA. I've got a home studio here, which I'm sat in right now. So we did a lot of recording here. And it was just quite a cool kind of experience, really. Just a lot of kind of, there wasn't any sort of immense pressure for us to get anything out quickly or anything like that. We were just kind of making music for fun, sending things around, sending ideas around. And it was, it was cool to kind of be able to be in a room together again. I mean, a lot of the will of the people was done remotely, because of COVID, which was a bit of a shame. I was in London and Matt and Dom were in LA. I couldn't really get to them. They couldn't really get to me. So I guess it was nice to sort of feel like there was much more of us kind of being in a room together again, and actually being able to sort of be in each other's physical presence rather than doing stuff over FaceTime and stuff like that, which was not ideal, really.
I can imagine. I'll take this, by the way, for an interview. I'm good.
Sorry, say that again.
I'll take this, just the digital interview. I'm okay with it. No problem.
I know, yeah. There's this. I think the trouble is, since COVID, everybody's got used to this kind of FaceTime thing now, and it's like, nobody wants to go anywhere. No one wants to go to work anymore.
You guys back together in one room for recording this album. By the sound of it, that was a good thing for you as a band. It's been like 30 years now, Muse. When you look back on Muse back in the day and the band that you're now, is it still the same band, still the same three guys, or are you a totally different kind of beast?
I think there's parts of us that are the same and there's parts that are very different. But I think that probably would go for most people. I mean, you look at 18, 19-year-old version of yourself, you see a lot of things very different compared to what you would see now. The way we make music is quite different, but fundamentally we're sort of the same people. When I talk to Matt or Dom, I guess the sort of sense of humor that we share is very similar to how it was when we were 18. The way we go about things and obviously our personal lives and things like that are all very different. We're not kids anymore, that's for sure. But yeah, I mean, there are, I think it's, I don't think we're any different to anybody else, really. I think that there are things that we would have done at 17 or 18 that we absolutely would not do now, whether that's musically or whether that's personally. It's just part of kind of growing up, I guess. I think there are elements of the band, I think that the kind of core DNA of the band is what it is and will always be the same. But, we've always been the sort of band that we've never really been afraid to kind of try and do something that's really outside of our comfort zone. A lot of bands tend to kind of have a formula that they stick to, and they will stick to that for the duration of their career. And I'm not really sure that we have that. I mean, I think if you compare our first record to this new one, I'm not sure you hear the same band. I don't know, but I think there is something in the way that we play that you might recognize. But I think musically, sonically, it's all quite different. Um, but also, the way people record has changed a lot as well. I mean, recording technology has changed so much since we made our first record. I mean, when we did Showbiz, we were still, really Pro Tools wasn't a thing. Computer recording in general wasn't, it was around, but it was still relatively young. And
Yeah.
a lot of the big producers at the time, like John Leckie, were still very much like, oh, nothing sounds as good as tape. And if you wanted to use any more than 24 tracks, you had to get two tape machines and sync them up together. And if you made a mistake in a song, you had to start again. Um, sometimes you did drop-ins, but didn't always work. And I remember days of like splicing tape together, trying to cut verse one from that tape and put it into this one here. And, obviously all of that stuff's gone away now. So the technology side of it has changed. And I think the main thing that's changed for us in the way that we work is that the ability to have, this in your house, basically,
Oh,
have
wow.
a lovely home studio that
Wow,
obviously
that's amazing.
we obviously did not have when we were kids, because you needed tape machines, you needed massive mixing desks, you needed equipment that was well beyond the reach of most people at that time. So
Yeah.
I think that's probably what's changed the band the most is the ability to sort of you don't have to say, oh, here's 3 weeks to book into a studio and go and
Yeah.
record anymore. You can
And it
work at
has to
home.
happen within that 3 weeks. You can now.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, makes sense. So we're very excited to welcome you back to the Netherlands in November at the Amsterdam
Mm.
Ziggo Dome. Do you have any ideas yet what kind of show we can expect by then?
We're kind of in the process of building the production and kind of working out ideas. And I mean, I think it's probably safe to say that it will be relatively linked to the album and the theme of the album.
Makes sense.
Quite what form that will take, I'm not sure at the moment. But yeah, it's all kind of in progress at the minute. I mean, we've got this tour of the States that we're doing first over the summer.
Yeah.
And that's mostly outdoor amphitheaters. So there's not going to be a huge production at those shows because those venues don't really allow it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess over the summer, while we're doing those shows, we'll be working on the production for the autumn. But it's great. We're all excited to get back out again. I mean, it feels like, well, I mean, it has been quite a while since we've done a proper tour. I mean, I think 2023 was the last time we were properly on the road. I mean, we did a
Yeah.
bit of a festival run last summer. We didn't really do much in 2024 at all. So it definitely feels like a while since we've been on the road, for sure.
Looking forward to it. That's the show part of it for you as a musician. What new song on the Wow single are you looking forward to play live the most?
At the moment, none of them because we haven't
Oh.
played them yet. And it's, do you know what? No, I don't mean it like that. It's always exciting to play new songs.
It just hasn't emerged a
It,
favorite right now.
it's that whole thing of that, like when you haven't been on tour for a while and the realization of we've got to get into rehearsals and we've got to learn these songs again because quite often when you're there's a big gap between being in the studio and then going out and playing the songs live. So you kind of work quite intensely in the studio and you learn the tracks and then you sort of finish the record and it's almost like there's this period of downtime between album being finished and album coming out
Yeah.
where you'll be doing things like sorting out artwork and planning tours, and it's all almost a little bit kind of businessy, do you know what I mean, where there's
Yeah,
not
yeah,
a lot
yeah.
of music stuff going on. And then all of a sudden the sort of tour gets closer and closer and you're like, oh shit, I've got to learn all this stuff and there's all these new songs to learn again and I can't remember how to play them because it was 6 months ago that we recorded them in the studio. So I mean we're literally about to go into this very intense period of rehearsals before we go to America. So I think we've got about 2.5 weeks of pretty solid everyday playing the songs. But I don't think we're going to go in and try and play everything off the new album. I mean, I think the idea really is to be sort of touring over the course of the next 3, 4, 5 years.
Mhm.
And rather than do the kind of drone style 2 years solid on the road thing, which I don't think we want to tour like that anymore, really. I think it will be more sort of like broken up into sort of smaller chunks, but kind of spread over a period of time, you know.
Okay.
Obviously we're not getting any younger, that's for sure.
Still looking the part, Chris. Still looking the part. Final question. So like 50 years ago, the wow signal, it lasted for 72 seconds and was never heard of again.
Mm.
If we were to jump forward in time 50 years, what would you like people to remember the most about your wow signal, about the new album? What should stick with the people?
Do you know what? I feel like, you know, when it comes to the legacy of Muse, you know, I know that the music that we've done over the years has always been quite divisive. Um, even amongst our own sort of hardcore fans, people are very kind of split about what is the best version of Muse, you know?
Yeah.
And I guess if there was one thing that I would like the band to be remembered for, is that we were never afraid to try different things. You know, even if they were crazy or seemed wildly inappropriate for us to be doing, we were never afraid to try those things. And, you know, I think had we been a little bit more on the conservative side, even songs like Supermassive Black Hole would not have existed. Because, you know, at the time when that came out, a lot of people were like, whoa,
Yep.
what's this? You know, it's kind of considered a staple Muse song now, you know. But at the time, you know, there was a lot of raised eyebrows. That was pretty out there for 2006 for a rock band to be doing a track like that.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, there have been times, you know, Madness, I guess, would be another example. You know, I think a song that really did divide a lot of people, but ended up being a very, very big song for us. And I think a lot of these songs came about because as a band, we weren't afraid to try something different and to try something that was unusual for a rock band to be doing. So yeah, if that was if we ever had our own wow signal, I think that would be what I would like it to be, just to be remembered for that kind of thing.
Beautifully worded. Thank you so much for your time.
Cool.
Enjoy the intense period of rehearsals.
Yeah, we'll do.
Thank you so much.
Cool. Cheers. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Chris. Bye bye.
Nice one. Cheers.